Well, good evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Steve's. Before we get started tonight, we need to do a little housekeeping here. We want to send a shout out to PM Consulting Limited and Feldman Wirtz Law Firm up in Aspen. These folks are kind enough to support our live streams. Couldn't be doing it without them. We want to thank and send a shout out to GrassRoots Community Network. They host our streams. Couldn't be doing it without them either. We want to send a shout out to the Standiford clan for owning this amazing space. And of course, a shout out to all of you who are here supporting live music and those of you online supporting live music. It's an important thing to do. Without any further ado, welcome to Dead Stories and Musical Musings.
Keep playing. Keep playing. You're doing great. Welcome, everybody, to Dead Stories and Musical Musings. I'm your host, DJ Billy Bob Speaks, deadhead of 50 shows, back in the 80s. How many people saw the Grateful Dead in the 80s? Whoa, a lot of hands going up. Ooh, how many people saw the Grateful Dead in the 70s? Ooh, look at that. Good job. In the 60s. That's all right. That's all right. We all got to see Jerry, right? Whoa, wait, we will get there. For you kids. Okay, who saw him in the 90s? Hey! Okay. All right, yeah. How about that show, huh? Las Vegas, Running Rebel Stadium. Oh my gosh, with Carlos Santana. Woo! That was a good show. That was my 90s show. Yeah, so, a few things we got to cover here tonight besides telling stories and music. Just to let you know, I have a list here of things to cover, so stick with me. I'd like to introduce you to the band. These are the this is Crazy Otto. You could call them Crazy Ottos. This is Johnny Otto. This is Frank Otto. Ralph Otto, Grateful Ed Otto. And, I came up with the idea for this event back about a year ago at Halloween, thinking, we could do a Dead Stories thing for Halloween weekend, right? Halloween and the dead, right? How good is that? And the guy who was originally doing the music side of it moved to North Carolina. He's doing all right. But I brought in Ed, and Ed brought in Ed. So I want to say thank you to you guys for all that. And I want to thank Ralph. Big hand for Ralph in the back there for doing our sound for us. I want to remind you, since we've all been Deadheads before, and like some of us who were on the road for a few tours. How many people went on the road for a few tours? Oh, I saw that guy. Yeah, okay. So I just wanted to say, back in the day, there was always that guy on the corner, right? That was me, actually, a couple of times. I need a miracle. Yeah, I need a ticket. Right? Please, I got nothing in my pockets. Can't even eat, but I want to get in the show. But I want to remind everybody, we're all old enough now to be paying for the tickets and enjoying the show. So please, in the jar on the way out the door, thank Ralph in a very appreciative way. Much appreciated.
No, you're thanking the musicians too.
Now,
and you're
in the
thanking
spirit,
Billy too. It's not just me. Don't put me in that corner.
In the spirit, all right. Well, we'll ask Ralph a question directly. What was the last thing Billy Kreutzmann said to you?
We're going there. The last thing Billy Kreutzmann said to me, and I quote, "Ralph, would you like some acid?"
Oh! And in the spirit of the parking lot, remember the parking lots? How much fun was that? You get there early, everybody's taking care of business and having a good time. And in spirit of the drum circles that were out there on the sidewalks and stuff like that, we like to encourage people, if they'd like to grab an instrument and bang along. We don't have a drummer, unless somebody who's a drummer is out there that's in the audience and wants to really step into that position. But in the other side of that, we do have instruments to take care of that. Another thing we're going to do is do a little bit, since this is when the veil is thin, a little thanks to the people who came before us and have moved on. Let's hear one for Pigpen. Yeah. Let's hear one for Brent Midland. All right. And let's hear one for, what was that guy's name with the beard? Jerry. Jerry. 30 years, right? And Phil Lesh. Yes. The unfortunate departure of Phil Lesh. Grateful to the dead. Okay. Now, couple other quick questions to the crowd. Oh, we covered that. How many people saw Bob Weir at Buttermilk?
I did.
You did. Okay. With Widespread Panic. Yes. Yeah. All right. And who saw The Dead and Company? Just The Dead, I think it was called at the time at Buttermilk. Yeah, that was a good show, wasn't it? Oh, yeah. Butch trucks and all that. Okay, now on to the stories. If anybody wants to say and tell a story, we have at this point the band members and myself who have stories prepared. But if anybody else in the audience, if you could raise your hand so that we can see if anybody else wants to tell some stories. If not, there's probably plenty. You got to start? Okay, we'll keep an eye on you. And you want to tell a story? Oh, good. Like that shirt. That's a good shirt. I'll be in touch with you guys. I'm going to tell the first story so you have a little idea of like where this could go potentially if you're thinking of telling a story. And then the band's going to play a song and we'll sing together and then do another story and continue on that vein. We'll probably start with one of the band members after the first song or the second song in 30 we've been going. So, Ralph, why don't you put a little music on? And on the road. There we were, 1983. Los Gatos, California. I'm in a microbus with a bunch of hippies. And we had probably a lot of drugs in the van. because we were on the way to see Jerry play on a tour in Southern California. Had to stop in for some gas. It was rough. We found a gas station, but we crossed over what was, in California, they do these things where they put a concrete strip in the middle of the road that's elevated like 4 or 6 inches so that you don't do that sort of thing. But we did that sort of thing. And this was not your ordinary bus. This was a bus that when the cops saw it, it said bust me on it. I mean, there was a hippie sitting on a pot leaf with the breeze in his hair flying on the side of it, right? Painted big, not small. This was big. So we pull in the gas station, start to gas up, and all of a sudden there's 3 cop cars there with the lights on because, heaven forbid, we crossed the line on the highway. Oh boy. So I sort of make my way away from the van. Another girl makes her way away from the van, and we're sitting on the curb at the Quickie Mart looking across the street thinking, oh, we're fucked. We're in big trouble. What do we tell our parents? What are we going to do? And when we're sitting there in our despair, we're looking up across the street at the liquor store thinking, I could really use one now. But it turns out there was somebody else walking into the liquor store that could use one now also. And he was carrying this big bag. And I couldn't figure out, why does he carry a big bag like that to the liquor store? A minute later, the guy comes out with a big old double-barrel shotgun running out of the store. Came around the edge of it, ran down the alley next to it. And I was like, hey. And after I said, hey, every single radio on every single cop car lit up like lightning. Armed robbery at blah, 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 blah. Cops disappeared. Out of the gas station, they all ran, headed to the liquor store. We finished gassing up and made our way out of town. Darn quick, right? Thank you for that one, Jerry. Now, I want to remind everybody also that might be thinking of telling a story that it's been 30 years since Jerry died. So the statute of limitations might be up. So if you have some real intimate stories about that sort of thing, the mic is open. All right. Band's going to cut in now and play a custom. Thank you very much.
How do you do?
All right, they sound great.
Yeah, thanks for the rhythm section, guys. You're holding it together.
Yeah, get that
Guys are fucking
rhythm.
killing it.
We need that shit. I mean,
Okay, another quick survey. How many people saw The Grateful Dead or Jerry Garcia or maybe Bob We in the Midnights or something like that 10 times? Oh, he got some heads here. Okay, how about 20 times? Whoa, look at these burnouts here. How about 30? Whoa, yeah. Let's say 50-ish. Hey! Okay, anybody make it up close to 100-ish? Yay! And the man. All right. So which one of you all is volunteering to tell this story first? Ed, you going next? Yeah, why don't you tell a story, and then we'll bring up one of our friends from the audience to tell the story when you're done.
all right.
All right.
So this is
Go,
the story
Ed.
of
Grateful
my first New Year's Eve show. But I need to give a little backstory before we get to that. So It starts 19 years old, a sophomore at Rutgers University. And during my sophomore year, I ended up seeing about 26 dead shows because they were on the East Coast constantly. And had the worst grades ever. My roommate was dealing ridiculous amounts of drugs through our dorm room. So I realized I need to I need to make a change. So I did this thing called the National Student Exchange and went to University of Nevada at Reno. So I'm there, and couldn't stay in the dorm rooms during the winter break. So one of my roommates had a half-finished house, so he let me stay there. And two of my tour buddies from Jersey were in Colorado Springs, and we had just planned to go to a New Year's Eve show. So they drove out to Reno. I had to work. They're in this half-finished house, smoking weed. And my roommate's mom shows up, and she's like, "Are you Ed? No. Are you Ed? No." And so she starts freaking out why there's these hippies in her house smoking weed. So I had to come back and calm that down. So we finally leave Reno. We're going to go try and catch 4 to 5 shows in San Francisco.
Did you lit out from Reno?
We
You lit out from Reno.
That's right. We're in a mid-70s Chevy van, so it's blizzarding, and we're trying to get up and over Donner Pass, which takes us from Nevada to California. And there's a roadblock ahead. And so we roll up and roll down the window, and there's a cop there, and he's like, "You can't go unless you have 4-wheel drive." And my buddy who was driving, without missing a beat, says, "Oh yeah, I got it." And so the cop starts walking around to the front of the vehicle to take a look. So time stands still, right? What's the penalty for lying to a cop? So he looks underneath the carriage, comes back, stony-faced, and says, "Okay, you're free to go." So clearly we didn't have 4-wheel drive. So we celebrated at the top of Donner Pass and rolled the fatty and on our way to San Francisco. So luckily for us, one of my buddies had an aunt that had an apartment on the southwestern edge of Golden Gate Park. No one had ever been there before. So we got to stay there, explore all over San Francisco. We got tickets for the first 3 shows. And it was very cool because they had a kitchen in the park next to the venue where they would serve you free soup. And then they had volleyball courts set up in the venue where teams from different states would play each other. So just a lot of fun. The first 3 shows were great, but we didn't have a ticket for New Year's Eve. So we cut out early on the 30th, got in line because we heard that the box office was going to sell tickets the next morning. And we had no plan. We had a coat. We're going to spend the night in San Francisco, December, waiting for the box office to open. Well, lucky for us, Bill Graham had pity on us. Within an hour after that show, opened the box off. We all got New Year's tickets, so got a good night's sleep. Yay! So, then we show up New Year's Eve, acoustic set to open, 2 electric sets. John Cipollina's there, Joan Baez. And the third set, because it was an acoustic opener, ended with Morning Dew. Just a great version, and we're sitting there waiting for the encore. All of a sudden, the lights come up. And we had known that they do 3 sets on New Year's Eve, and we're looking at each other. We're like, what? A 4th set? This is unprecedented. Turns out Jerry and Mountain Girl had gotten married earlier in the show. So about a half hour later, the lights go off. Now it's 2:30 in the morning, and you could hear a pin drop, and we're all hoping for the same thing. And then it happened. Dark Star. Hadn't played it for 3 years, the first version with Brent. And, I remember deliberately looking at the stage to, sear into my brain, this is what the Dead looks like playing Dark Star. So we walked out into the San Francisco fog at 4 a.m. Everyone had grins on their faces. And I saw 2 more New Year's Eve runs, but this one was the most memorable and the only Dark Star I ever saw. End of story. Well, you know, there were a lot of moving parts.
I didn't get the memo about writing this up, so, you know. But, I don't know. My first show was back in 1971. Anybody see one earlier than that? Am I the earliest guy here? Whoa. All right. So I was a student at the University of Illinois, and we heard that the Dead were playing it in Chicago at the fabled Auditorium Theater, which is, if anybody's ever seen that place, it's a remarkable venue. But at that point, it was about 80, 90 years old, and it was in pretty bad shape. The seats were all ripped up and shit. And, you know, and so at that point, we had Working Man's Dead and American Beauty Rose, and that's pretty much what I knew about the Dead. So we're up there, and we get in late because we're driving up from Champaign, and it's raining, and we can't find a parking place, and so the band is playing. We're way up high, and this theater probably has about 5,000 seats in it or something. It's vast and wide and high, and so we're way up at the top, which was actually turned out well because all the smoke came up. So even though we'd done a little bit beforehand, it helped to have a little extra. And we got there and the band's playing, and they're playing Dark Star or something. And it might have been what's on right now. And we're looking at each other like, who are these guys, you know? We had no clue. This is not Working Man's Dead. Where's the harmony, you know? And then they're playing and they're playing and playing. And then they just walk off stage. And they go in the back, and we hear this. We're thinking, what's that? And we're thinking, maybe it's nitrous. Who knows, you know? And then after a while, you know, we're all sitting around, and they come back out, and they play some more, and then they go away. And then at that point, this other band comes out. And actually, we had the album already, so we knew about them. New Riders of the Purple Sage. And Jerry comes out, and he sits down, and they play the New Riders set, you know, and we're thinking, oh, this is pretty cool, you know. And then the Dead comes back, and they play all this stuff we'd never heard before, which just blew our minds, of course. You know, we had no clue, and we're just watching, you know, these little ants on stage from where we're sitting, you know. Okay, so that was a great show. We had a very eye-opening experience, and we went out, pardon me? First show. So then we went out and got more early albums and got a little more tuned in to what the Dead really typically were like. Early nicers, yeah. So anyway, fast forward 2.5 years, and a buddy of mine and I are hanging out in the Bay Area, and literally hanging out. At one point, we were sleeping in a field. It was a strange experience being homeless, actually, for a couple weeks. Anyway, we heard that this band was playing at this bar in Berkeley. So we got there, and we actually knew about this band, too, because we had the record, of course. It was Old and in the Way. And we sat on bar stools they were about where you're at there. It was really close. And Vassar Clements was with them, and they played their set, and that was all they knew, and then it was it. But it was like, okay, here's the working man style. This is what Jerry was doing before, and we got to hear it, and that was a pretty cool experience. And yeah. But even afterward, Vassar was hanging out by the bar, and I went over and chatted with him for a while because I was a huge fan of them. The Circle Be Unbroken album had come out with the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, and we all knew about Vassar. You know, he was like this icon of bluegrass. And here he is playing with these hippies in the Bay Area. And I said, what's it like? And he said, it's great, man. Okay, that's it.
All right.
Oh, I thought we were doing starters.
We're calling audibles right now. I lit out from Reno, I was trailed by 20 hounds. Didn't get to sleep last night till the morning came around. Set out running, but I take my time. Friend of the devil is a friend of mine. I get home before daylight, just might get some sleep tonight. Ran into the devil, babe, low me 20 bills. Spent the night in Utah in a cave up in the hills. Set out running, but I take my time. Friend of the devil is a friend of mine. I get home before daylight, just might get some sleep tonight. Devil caught me there, took my $20 bill, you know he vanished in the air. Said I'm running, but I take my time. Friend of the devil is a friend of mine. I get home before daylight, just might get some sleep tonight. Go to the break. Well, stay with us. Got 2 reasons why I cry away each lonely night. First one's named Sweet Anne-Marie, she's my heart's delight. Second one is Prison Babe, sheriff's on my trail. If he catches up to me, you know I'll spend my life in jail. Got a wife in Chino, babe, and one in Cherokee. First one says she's got my charm, but it don't look like me. Set out running, but I take my time. Friend of the devil is a friend of mine. I get home before daylight, just might get some sleep tonight. reasons why I cry away each lonely night. First one's named Sweet Anne-Marie, she's my heart's delight. Second one is prison babe, sheriff's on my trail. If he catches up to me, he'll know I spent my life in jail. Got a wife in Chino, babe, one in Cherokee. First one says she's got my child, but it don't look like me. Set out running, but I'll take my time. Friend of the devil is a friend of mine. If I get home before daylight, just might get some sleep tonight. Yes, thank you for the percussion, for the participation.
Yeah, percussion.
Yeah, the fifth man, you guys are doing great.
Okay, who in the band's going to tell the next story?
I'll let John do it.
John. Johnny. All right.
I'll tell it.
So, who here almost got busted at a show? So, like, after I saw the Dead in Palo Alto. Now, Palo Alto at Frost Amphitheater, beautiful terraced grass. Yeah, trees lining the stage. All of the oldest fucking hippies you ever fucking saw there, right? And after the show, we're all high. We're sitting on the front of the Toyota waiting for our buddies to come back. And all of a sudden, here comes that Chips cop on a dirt bike with a radio. You there, don't move. You're busted. And we're all like, ah! But as it turned out, he kept going past us. And he was busting somebody doing a mushroom deal on the other side of the car. And we got the fuck out of there. We caught up with them later and the car. They took him away, unfortunately. Bad deal, feds. John, what's up?
Okay.
He does it.
We need to tell this story together.
Okay. You can tell it together. That's okay.
A joint story.
better.
Oh, a joint?
Well, hi. I'm John. This is Kathy.
Hi, John.
We are transplants from New Jersey. We got here in 1979. We've been in Summit County the whole time. And but our journey with the boys, the Dead, goes into high school. We were juniors.
My first show was 1971.
Oh.
I was 6.
Yeah. Mine was 72. I know mine was, Kathy's probably too. It was Roosevelt Stadium, Jersey City, New Jersey.
Armpit.
Nassau. The story I want to give, it's going to be a quick one. It was our first New Year's show. It was 1980-81. We were living in Breckenridge. We had just gotten married in 80. And around November, I was in construction. And Kathy was in...
I was a preschool teacher.
Yeah. And all of a sudden there was a little buzz in the hair. Let's go to San Francisco. New Year's show. And so
From New Jersey, by the way.
no, we're in Colorado. No.
Colorado.
Oh, okay.
But we
That
were-
was a different
yeah.
story.
We're
That
in
was a different
Breckenridge.
story.
So in any event, I got to go ahead from my boss. I went over to Kathy where she was teaching. I said, "Hey, honey, what do you think? Want to go? Want to think about this?" And yes, we got the okay from Susan, right? We popped in our Dodge window van that we drove out from Jersey, rear-wheel drive, not even posi traction. We got all the way out there. I went the night before New Year's, and it was so-so, easy tickets. But New Year's, there were no tickets available, nothing. Okay, we were meeting a couple friends from New Jersey out there.
What were their names?
There was Chimpo and Zumo
Splazo.
and Splazo. They've heard this before, you know. And so we met. Now everybody's got a finger up for New Year's, and so we those guys had gotten tickets, so they went in, and we were with the rest of the crowd outside. Blah 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 blah, and maybe 45 minutes, hour later, I see Chimpo. I said, Chimpo, what's the story? He said, I had a counterfeit ticket. They wouldn't let me in. Fuck.
They're always worth a try.
Yeah. You know? So he said, we kind of hung out with him, which was right near the back door. Okay, we were up on a little pedestal like this. And so we're just there, everybody's doing this shit. You know? And all of a sudden a limo pulls up, a guy gets out, Chimpo jumps down to this guy. I see a little blah, 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 blah. You know, he goes inside. I said, who was that? And he said, well, it's Rock Scully. And I said, oh, okay. Yeah, you know, and I knew the name. Maybe a half hour, 45 minutes later, comes out, gets tickets. We go inside. We go inside. We find Zumo and Splazo.
Of course.
Okay. You know, we were probably there half hour, 45 minutes. Lights went down. 3 sets. Acoustic set. John Cipollina. You know. Breakfast little bags on the way out. So yeah, that's my story. That is, for me, that's my best Dead show.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
Kat has another.
Girls
We
got
need
to
some
tell
clarification here.
He says it's his best dead show, but I have to say I probably have gone to, and probably John too, 50 shows. Our daughter's 42 and she's been to 6 shows. So, and we were way more shows than that.
She
but
went to show in diapers.
yeah, but for me, I just went to the Sphere, and so I wouldn't say I'm a deadhead, but the truth is, I cried at the Sphere at the experience because I realized I really am a deadhead.
Oh, that's right. Come clean.
And because I've had a lot of experiences, one includes meeting Jerry Garcia, sitting on a bed with Jerry and Bobby, in a room with Keith and Donna. John was there. Our dear friend was the Grateful Dead chef.
Tell him, what was his name?
Psychosis. And he was a black belt in karate, and but just the experience of getting to know Jerry and Bobby, and just the incredible minds and spirits that they had was probably my greatest gift, because we had the privilege of
That was one of the best nights of my life.
yeah.
And I couldn't say shit. I was just like,
Yeah. So anyway,
All right.
Okay. We have Allison, is it? No. Angie. Okay. Angie. Angie's going to tell us a story now. Everybody listen. Then we're going to do another song sing along to.
Welcome, Angie.
Hi, guys. So, I never got to see the Grateful Dead, but I did get to go a little further. Yep. Back in 2008, I was grocery shopping when my girlfriend called me, and she's like, I got a miracle for you to see further. And yeah, and it was, she's like, the show starts in 10 minutes. So I abandoned an entire shopping cart of groceries, and I went to the show and had my first Grateful Dead experience.
Where was it?
At, actually it was Rat Dog, it wasn't further. It was, but I did see
now
further.
the truth comes out.
Yeah, it was Rat Dog at the Kirby Center in Wilkes-Barre. It was a Rat Dog show.
Pennsylvania. All right.
And I got to see further at Binghamton and Bethel Woods.
Bethel Woods, sure.
Yeah. And then in 2014, the Merry Pranksters were doing their 50-year anniversary tour on the Further Bus, and Ken Kesey, his son Zane, had the bus out, and they were doing a film. Lotus Eater Films was there, documenting the entire experience of a 3-month tour. And I was in Scranton, Pennsylvania when I got on the bus.
All right.
Yeah.
Bus came by. Yeah.
Yep. I was an organic farmer and I catered the event. I bartered my way in because I was broke.
Nice.
Yep. I made a veggie platter and I arranged it like a peace sign, and I roasted chicken that I butchered. And they said, "Hey, do you want to come on tour with us?" And somehow made it to that point in my life. I never read the electric Kool-Aid acid test, and I didn't know what the Further Bus was. I had seen the band.
Wow.
I didn't know. So they give us all nicknames, and my prankster name is Fresh. Because I was fresh to the scene, and I don't party. I keep my mind fresh. And it was a 3-month tour, and I toured for 2.5 months. I started in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and my very first time ever in California, riding over the Golden Gate Bridge on top of the bus.
Nice.
Documented, yep. And that's my story. Grateful Dead related.
Awesome. Awesome. Casey Jones, all right? Count it off.
Ready? 1,
2,
3. Driving that train, high on cocaine. Casey Jones, you better watch your speed. Trouble ahead, trouble behind. And you know that notion just crossed my mind.
This old engine makes it on time. Leaves Central Station at 8:45. Hits River Junction, 72 at 8:45. You know he's driving again. Driving that train, high on cocaine. Casey Jones, you better watch your speed. Trouble ahead, trouble behind. And you know that notion just crossed my mind. Lady in red, take my advice, you'd be better off dead. Switch banks, 102 years, on the wrong train, headed for you. Driving that train, high on cocaine. Casey Jones, you better watch your speed. Trouble ahead, trouble behind. And you know that notion just crossed my mind. Trouble with you is the trouble with me. Got 2 good eyes, but we still don't see. Come round the bend, you know it's the end. When the finance reads and the engine goes lit. Driving that train, high on cocaine. Casey Jones, you better
This is being recorded, so if you're going to sing along, singing tune. Stole that from the Subhuman. Anyway, it has been so much fun having everybody up here on stage and saying things. And we have Doug. Doug wants to come up. He's got a story to tell. And Doug did a lot of shows back in the day, so I'm sure he's going to pick us a good one here.
Well, I was going to talk about when I met Rob DeSero. Everybody knows Rob, but it was in '85 at Cumberland Civic Center up in Maine. The night before April Fool's Day, and it was like snowing like crazy out, and we got a hotel room with like 14 other deadheads, and at like 3 o'clock in the morning, everybody got kicked out, and out into the snow. And my friend had been outside drinking Kahlua with microdots mixed in it with Rob's friends, who turned out to be Rob Fishman from Fish and a bunch of their friends, and they were all around this fire, and the snow came, and somehow Rob Fishman got buried in his VW, and like woke up the next day, and like there was just a bubble, and people were still drinking Kahlua and mescaline, and like all of a sudden Fishman comes popping out of his car and stuff, and like everybody thought it was a snowbank. Anyway, also with Phil having passed recently, the other day actually, and I've just been thinking about all the deadheads that I toured with that are dead, and Jerry and Brent and Shane Cool, who used to live underneath the restaurant up at Highlands. Blew his head off, but he used to learn to jump from ledges wild and high. He made a shirt about Foolish Heart. And there was Carolyn, who I went to high school with, and we toured cross country probably 4 or 5 times, and we stayed in every blue light cheap hotel, and she OD'd on New Year's Eve, 1991. Or let's think, there was Chesley. Chesley. I used to go to tons of shows with Chesley Seldine, who lived here in Carbondale, and she's gone. She's gone, and nothing's gonna bring her back.
That's right.
And there's Chuck Katz from Trenton, who had a seizure at Meriwether Post with me during Keep On Growing and stuff. He didn't die, but at that point, but he died later on. And then there's Kevin, and I can see his face right now. Steve Marks, or any number of names that he would make up to scam people and stuff. But he was one of the Golden Hearts on Dead Tour, and his boyfriend Kevin, who both died of AIDS. But they loved each other, and yes, they did. And people from the Wrecking Crew, like Fast Ed and Russell and all those guys would always be on the lot, that would be there before you got there and be there after you left and stuff. And I don't know. You guys know Touch of Grey?
These guys has to tell a story.
All right, Frank, you're up. Thanks. Yeah, thanks, Doug.
My story's really boring, so we're going to play one quick tune, and then we're going to tell the story.
Right.
Going down. Going down the road, feeling bad. Going down the road, feeling bad. Going down the road, feeling bad, bad, bad. Don't wanna be treated this way.
Going where the climate suits my clothes. Going where the climate suits my clothes. Where the climate suits my clothes. Don't wanna be treated this way.
Well, I'm going down the road, feeling bad. Going down the road, feeling bad. Going down the road, feeling bad, bad, bad.
Don't want to be treated this way. Going where the water tastes like wine. Going where the water tastes like wine. Going where the water tastes like wine. So fine. Don't wanna be treated this way.
I'm going down the road, feeling bad. Going down the road, feeling bad. Going down the road, feeling bad, bad, bad.
Don't wanna be treated this way.
Going where those chilly winds don't blow. Going where those chilly winds don't blow. Going where those chilly winds don't blow. No, don't wanna be treated this way. I'm going down the road, feeling bad. Going down the road, feeling bad. Going down the road, feeling bad, bad, bad. Don't wanna be treated this way.
having fun yet? Okay, well. Okay, I do have a question out here. Now, I'm getting a feeling here like the Grateful Dead did something to all of us in this room. Now, I could be wrong. I could be very wrong. But I'm guessing almost everybody in this room is here because the Grateful Dead picked them up and tossed them out across this great nation of ours until we realized Colorado's really cool. How many people here are from Colorado? Like, born and raised? 1, 2. Ooh, we got 3. All right, we got homies. Let's hear for the homies. Let's hear for the rest of you who took that long, strange trip and got yourselves here. But we're going to have Frank tell you a story now.
All right, Frank, you're up.
Frankie.
All right, now mine's not as good as the rest. But how many people here are into Metallica? Raise their hand. Nice. Okay, I like it. Or AC/DC. Raise their hand. Right. So I was I got done with grad school. I was moving to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I was in a band in high school, and these guys tried to get me to listen to the Grateful Dead, and I'm like, that's fucking old people's music, man. I don't listen to that shit. This is terrible. And then I traveled down to Chicago, and just by happenstance, the Dead were playing at Soldier Field in '91. So I got on the bus very late. And get into the parking lot, and we're just hanging out with a bunch of friends, never been to see the Grateful Dead, and some guy's like, acid, $3, acid, $3. And I'm like, oh, fuck, $3, that's a deal. And so I'm like,
Give me the vial.
right. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll take that. And $3, here you go. I'm like, well, what do you do with it? I'm like, because I've heard of window pane and stuff like that. You stick it in your eye and stuff. And he's like, haven't you ever done this before? I'm like, no. He's like, oh. He's like, oh, buckle up, buddy. He's like, just put it under your tongue. And I'm like, okay. And then another 4 guys with it. What are you doing? I'm taking acid. Well, we never taken acid. Let's take acid. And it, just like everybody here, like my life was changed that day because all I listened to was AC/DC, Metallica, Yngwie Malmsteen, and all that stuff. And then I walked out of there just like, whoa, what the fuck? And I literally, I didn't listen to anything else other than the Grateful Dead for like 25 years. And I was that guy that only listened to the Grateful Dead. And I'm just like, whatever you're listening to is crap. Because what I'm listening to is good. But the funny thing now is I've kind of switched back. So now I'm like back into heavy metal and stuff like that. And I love to get Ed in the car and put on Pantera. And he's just like, what the hell?
Respect.
Right. Walk.
All right. Awesome.
It's okay to confess. It's a good confession. That was a good confession story. Anybody else from the audience that would like to get up on stage? Oh, come on up. Let's hear a story. We got a guy here who's been here all night. And he's finally decided, well, if these people are going to tell these stories, I might as well get up here too. What's your name? Tom. Let's hear it for Tom. All right, nice shirt.
Hi, guys. Not from Colorado. We're visiting from Virginia. Make this quick. My first show, let me back up just a little bit. When I was 16 years old, I got a job at a foreign car dealership. And they played WHFS as in Washington, D.C. So we had great music on all day. And there were a couple guys there that were about 10 years older than me that were into the Dead. So I got kind of this pre-indoctrination thing at work. And it was really cool. And 1973, I think it was, the Dead came through D.C. area, played the Capitol Center. And my buddy Mike and I went. I've known Mike since kindergarten. And so we're out on this trip to visit Mike and Sheila. My wife Diane and Sheila were best friends, and I met Diane in high school. We were married in 1980, like you were. I have a 41-year-old. Very, very similar story. So that was my first show, and Mike and I have seen many, many shows since then. And just quickly, a couple of my real memorable things were seeing the Dead in Boston Garden had terrible seats. We were back behind the stage, really up above. But after a few tunes, I went, look, there's Mickey and Billy. I spent the whole show just tuned in on Mickey and Billy. Fantastic. Very, very, very different kind of show. Looking at the back of Jerry the whole show. That was pretty neat. Seeing the Garcia Band at the Warfield, the acoustic show with David Grisman, those guys, that was really good. And another one in the 80s, early 80s, was Lisner Auditorium in D.C. I went to a show with one of those older guys from where I was working. And it was Jerry Garcia Band. We had tickets for the early show. Fantastic show. And at the end of the show, Jeff and I stood there just like, wow, and just couldn't move. And the place emptied out. And there was really literally nobody there but Jeff and I. And then these college kids from the school came in and they started picking up trash and stuff. And they had these plastic bags. And I grabbed a plastic bag and gave Jeff a plastic bag. And we started going around picking up trash. Next thing you know, the doors open, the crowd comes in. And we didn't have seats, so we just went and sat in the very front row, our feet hanging in the orchestra pit, and watched the second show. And it was fantastic. Yeah. And one other one, Diane, my wife, her birthday is August 1st, which happens to be Jerry's birthday, and she says that's why I chose her, or she chose me, whatever. But it was 7 days after Garcia died. I had tickets for, I think it was Rat Dog in D.C., and we went to the show, and the most memorable thing was at some time like an intermission, Rob Wasserman came out and played Amazing Grace by himself on bass, and it was just like the most moving thing. And
oh, wow.
That's my trip.
All right. Tom, well done. Where's Frank? Hey, Frank, get out here. Anyone else? Story? All right, come on, let's go.
Everybody has a story. I'm giving the bass player water. Can I come up here?
Yeah, absolutely. The stage is yours.
Awesome.
What's your name?
So my name's Brad. I just moved here to the Valley in July. So I moved here from South Florida. Totally different experience.
True.
But I'm young. You know, I'm 47. Or 40, yeah, I'm 47. But I'm fortunate enough to see all my shows in the 90s. I got to see 30 shows. That includes Jerry. But anyway, or Jerry Band, I mean, my 30 shows. But what I'm telling you about is sometime in 1995, in March of 95, I got to see 3 shows at the Spectrum in Philadelphia. And I heard the song, and I was always the best at calling the songs. So as soon as I heard the first note, I'd be like, that's it. I think I won no matter what. So I heard the first song and I heard the song and I was like, can't call it. But I heard the first notes of Unbroken Chain.
Yeah, that's right. The bust out.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden I heard the next thing you know, like next thing you know, Phil starts singing Unbroken Chain, and no one ever would have guessed it because they don't play Unbroken Chain. So anyway, I was just there and you couldn't hear the whole verse of the song because everyone was just screaming, and me, I'm like just gloating that I was like telling everybody that's what it was. So that's my one. And number 2 is September 10th, 1990. I think I was like 13 years old or 12 years old, but it was my first show, and I got to see the first time they played the Dark Star at Philly in like 20, I think it said 20 or 30 years. But I remember seeing a sign, so play Dark Star, that was the sign. And then all of a sudden they played it, and I was like, how did that guy know? I didn't even know what Dark Star was. So anyway, 13 years old, first show.
Right on. Woo! Sugar Max.
Oh,
Going
now
back.
you're changing the
Yeah.
lineup on me.
Yeah.
Now let's do birthday.
No, that one's too long. This is the last one. Four times.
magnolia, blossoms blooming, heads all empty, and I don't care. Saw my baby down by the river, knew she had to come up soon for air. Sweet blossom, come on, under the willow, we can have high times if you'll abide. We can discover the wonders of nature, rolling with the rushes down by the riverside. She's got everything delightful, she's got everything I need. Takes the wheel when I'm seeing double, pays my ticket when I speed. Skimming through rays of violet, she can wait in a drop of dew. She don't come and I don't follow, race backstage while I sing to you all. She can dance a Cajun rhythm, jump like a Willie's in four-wheel drive. She's my summer lover for spring, fall, and winter. She can make happy any man alive. Let's go rhythm section. Sugar magnolia, ringing that bluebell, all caught up in sunlight. Come on out singing, I'll walk you in the sunshine. Ooh, come on honey, come along with me. She's got everything delightful, she's got everything I need. In the fire of the sunlight, moonlight, raising the sunlight, yes indeed. Sometimes when the cuckoo's crying, when the moon is halfway down, sometimes when the night is dying, take me out and I wander around. I wander around. Sunshine daydream, walking in the tall trees, going where the wind goes, blooming, blooming like a red rose, breathing more freely. Right out singing, I'll dance you in the morning sunshine. Sunshine daydream, sunshine daydream, sunshine daydream.
job, rhythm section. You guys are killing it. We don't need a drummer. You all have to come to our next gig.
Yeah, you all sound great out there. This is going great. Well, now here we all are in one place, a generation lost in space. Yes. Well, you know, a lot of people have been out there on the road and seen a lot of bands, and there's one band she has had some memories of, and Miss Amy Kimberly would like to come up here and tell us.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Actually hadn't planned on telling a story, but then when Billy Bob talked about that Stanford show, so that weekend, which I think was 1983, Simon and Garfunkel just had their first, like a little while back, reunion concert in Central Park, and now they came to Candlestick Park, and they were having their reunion concert. So our weekend was Simon and Garfunkel reunion. We were like five rows back at Candlestick Park, and then the next day we were going to Stanford. And so it was pretty epic, but we had this friend, Barney. And Barney was a real estate agent. He, at first glance, you wouldn't, we couldn't define if he was into drugs or drink or Grateful Dead, but we were big mushroom growers, and so people, as they saw the cool thing about growing mushrooms, they would want to grow mushrooms too. And then they would want to start taking them, and their lives would be somewhat transformed. And some people could handle it better than others. So Barney, at the same time that we made a little mushroom room for him on his property, also was really getting into the Grateful Dead. And he would take more and more mushrooms at each concert. He was that guy that eventually nobody really wanted to go to Dead shows with Barney because he would get so out there, and he'd be that guy that was just too out there. So his wife is 8 months pregnant, and Barney wants to go to Stanford shows with us, and we haven't been really going to shows with Barney. We just heard, and I would not say that I was a deadhead, but we lived in Northern California and we dealt a lot of drugs. So everybody that we knew somehow had a connection to the Grateful Dead. They were either their bodyguard, their driver, their lover, everybody had a story. So we're like, okay, what the heck? How bad could Barney be? We have a lot of characters around us. We'll go. Barney had an old VW van. We drive down to Stanford. He's got some nice fresh mushrooms in a jar of honey, and we're like, oh yeah, that's a good way to take them. And so, we're like close to Stanford, and we start eating the mushrooms. And we get into the parking lot, and it's a scene. You know what the parking lot scene is like. And well, Barney is starting to really get weird. And me and my first husband, we just wanted to be cool because, we were drug dealers.
Was Barney your second husband?
No. Billy Bob was my second husband. And so, we just wanted to be cool. So we didn't want to draw attention to ourselves. So we're just being cool. But Barney is out in the parking lot doing strange poses. He's like that guy out there, contortioning and slowly moving and just going up to groups and somehow feeling like he is directing them through God. And we're just kind of hanging back. But the one good thing is we did take the key from him for the van, but we did not take the tickets. But we're trying to keep our eye on him because we promised Mary, we'd keep his wife, that we'd keep our eye on him. She could have a baby any moment. And anyways, but we lost him. But we thought, okay, he knows he's got the tickets. We'll catch up to him at the gate. So we get through, we get to the gate, we're hanging out. There is no sign of Barney, and we have no tickets. And now it's getting later and later, and we could hear the first strains of the show, so we go to a scalper, and we go, God damn, fucking Barney, and we buy 2 tickets that luckily got us in. We're like, okay, we're in. Now, Stanford the cops must have really been on, trying to bust people. And inside the stadium, you could see there's like Stanford students that didn't quite get the dead thing, but they wanted to get it. So the kids in front of us were playing chess through most of the first set. And everyone is dancing while around. But finally, they like put the chess set away. Anyways, it was a great show. It was an awesome show, right? Amazing show. And what? Oh. And then we go out, and we're sure that we're going to find Barney at the van. He's going to meet us there. Go back to the van, and, it's still a party scene. Everyone's hanging out. We're hanging out. Time goes by. Pretty soon, we're the only vehicle in the parking lot, and there's no Barney. We have to come to the reality that Barney is missing. So we drive around, but we still don't find him. So finally, we know we have to go to the cops. Ugh. Now, we've come down enough that we're like, okay, we got this. Hopefully, we have to know what to tell Mary. So we flag down a Stanford cop. We describe who we're looking for, and they're like, oh, yes, he's at the jail. We picked him up before the show started, and you'll have to go down there to find him. And we're like, oh, shit. I hope he hasn't called Mary. We better call her and tell her we got this handled. We call her. She was already at the police station in San Jose. So we get in. She's there with her big belly just fuming, and she's bailing Barney out. And, needless to say, we were never allowed to go to a Grateful Dead show with Barney again, nor did we really want to. But anyways, then 2 weeks later, I found out I was pregnant with my first child. Aww. So I had to slow down anyway. And that's one of my stories.
All right.
And now we're gonna have Randy Otto tell a story.
Here we go.
Okay, so this is Alpine Valley, 1981, my first show.
Yeah.
And this is kind of a fun little ditty. We're, my friends, one of my buddies from college dragged me to the show. He said, you got to come see this band. I'd heard of him, but just kind of on the periphery. And his big brother turned him on, and this buddy, ever since that day, he was one that had always bought an extra ticket and had a miracle ticket for somebody at the show. The 81. And I know you're thinking, despite my youthful appearance, I could make it to an 81 show. Anyway, so we got our place. We're in the general admission, the sea of people. It was behind the seats. So we're kind of halfway up, and dudes come in next to us, 3 guys, and pushing the guy in a wheelchair. I'm thinking, oh, this is awesome. Guys bringing their buddy who can't get around that great, and he's going to see a show. It's awesome. So they come right up next to us, and we're high-fiving them. And next thing you know, the guy in the wheelchair jumps out of the chair. They pulled panels off the chair, and they had a full recording rig set up in this wheelchair. Nice. Power supply, equalizer, tape deck. They popped in the microphones. They sent the booms up off the handles, and they were recording. We're like, oh, this is awesome. And this is before taping was allowed. This is back in '81. So we're all jamming. We're partying to the show. It's an awesome show. And next thing you know, halfway through the first set, here comes the big guys. Come walking in. Come on, boys, you can't do that here. In fact, you got to take that down. And as a matter of fact, not only do you have to take it down, you're out of here. You're done. You cannot break the rules like that. So, and things were just starting to kick in for us at that time. And, it was kind of a bummer. More of a bummer for them than us because, trucking came on and Tennessee Jed, and it was, we just kept on partying with the good guys next to us and kind of forgot about the whole incident while things were really kicking in. And about halfway through the second set, all of a sudden, here come these three guys with the wheelchair, shit-eating grins on their face a mile long. I have no idea how they got back in. They pulled the panels off, they sent up the booms, and they recorded the rest of the show. Fun things that happened at a Dead show. And in the sea of people, they came right back to where they were. It's almost like they had a GPS coordinate. It's kind of cool.
All right, we got a couple for you.
Weird. The handicap just get everything.
Ready? Start it off. I had a heart
anymore.
Okay. Back in the day. Yeah. All the way across the country. Alrighty. Anybody else got a story to tell? Oh, Mr. Eric Berry.
Yeah.
Mr. Eric Berry. Woo! Eclectic Mania is one of our fellow DJs on stage here, the Triumvirate.
Okay, well, I don't know. It started in like 1977 when this guy was a friend of my sister's named Dan Huttenlocker. He came to Aspen in the summer when we were out here, and he visited my sister, and he stayed for a couple of days, and he goes, I'm going to Red Rocks. And around like 77, 1970. He's going to see the Grateful Dead. He didn't take my sister. They went to the Bluegrass Festival the next year together, but I got this bug in my ear about the Grateful Dead. And so anyway, following year, I'm sitting in my room in Chicago, and I'm listening to Yes with headphones on. And he comes, Dan Huttenlocker, the same guy, comes into my room, and he goes, what are you listening to? And I said, Yes. He goes, not the Grateful Dead? And I said, well, I have that other album, but I have to go steal it from my sister if I want to listen to the Grateful Dead. He says, you'll learn. Anyway, next year, November 78, get to go to the Uptown Theater. Actually, 77, my best friend, one of my best friends, lost his ticket. He was not even a freshman in high school yet, and his brother had gotten him a ticket, but he lost it on my front lawn. And I called him up, and I'm like, I've got your ticket. I found your ticket. He goes, they're already gone. I can't get across the entire city of Chicago. And, you know, we were 12 years old. And so that year was foregone conclusion. But then the next year, I was 13, and I planned it. Got to go to the show. That was an opening experience. All I remember was people were dancing in the aisles and in the lobby, and it was just an amazingly beautiful situation. And I was like, I need more of this. Yes. So fast forward, 1981, I had lived in Paris my sophomore year of high school, 1980. 81, I got back to the United States and got to those Alpine shows. Oh, cool. 3 shows in a row. And I ended up with strep throat after these 3 shows. But I had been hired with a friend of mine to paint Ken Nordine's studio in Chicago. And I was like, I'm sick as a dog, but I have to go paint Ken Nordine's studio. I made it through one day. And I had to give the job to a friend of mine because she really wanted to paint Ken Nordine's studio too. She was also a deadhead. So anyway, fast forward a little bit. The story I really wanted to tell was going to Las Vegas from here. I think it was 94. And I was driving a VW Golf with a sunroof, and it was kind of getting older, and it had some weird issues, but it drove really well, and it made great time. And good gas mileage. But I hadn't been driving in the desert. I'd been driving here. And I didn't know that my gas tank, well, there was a fuel filter or a fuel pump and in a box, and then your fuel tank. And that first one had to work in order for the second one to work. And there was a crack in the first tank, so it would suck air. And you could have a full tank of gas and run out of gas. We got to St. George, and there were some hitchhikers at this gas station, and picked up these two hitchhikers who said they had crashed their car and they were really kind of out of it. And they were trying to get to the Dead Show, and we were like, oh, well, that's where we happen to be going to. I got all excited because we were getting out of St. George, and I hit the on-ramp. Didn't realize there was a wolf pack of police vehicles right off that on-ramp. And I was already going like 75 in a 65. And they pulled me over. I've got two hitchhikers who I've never met. No, I have no idea what they've got on them. I've got a car full of stuff. And a girlfriend who hadn't been with me for very long, and she didn't really know what I had packed in the car. And she was pretty innocent. Turns out she's still my wife, but lucky thing. So anyway, they pull me over, and I'm like, oh, great. And at the same time, my car was doing all these funny things, so I was like, okay, well, I'll try to explain it like I had to get going fast because I didn't know if my car was going to drive. Cops pulled me over, and they decide I'm really nervous, which I was, because we had a car full of stuff and people I didn't know, and we were going to the Dead Show, and you have to you're in St. George, Utah, you don't want to tell the police that you're going to the Grateful Dead Show in Las Vegas. So we said, when they asked, I said, we're going to visit our friends in California. And that was the story. But we picked up these hitchhikers who said they wanted to go to this Dead Show in Las Vegas. They decide that my story was probably not good enough, and they say, we're going to search the car, sir. And they decided to go through everything in this car. I'm sitting on the gravel with a big sombrero on, looking at these kids sort of off in the distance going, this is the last time I'm going to see like kids running around free for a long time. And I'm just like grinding this gravel in my hand like it's going to be all right. And they go through the car and they find a pipe. And it turns out it wasn't even mine. It was with the hitchhikers. And he confesses. And I'm like, oh my God, phew. They found something, so they were going to leave us alone. But they keep going. And he comes back and he's going to talk to us. And he had just gone through the trunk and he's carrying a pair of gloves. And he doesn't know this, but there's mushrooms in the fingers of the gloves. And he's talking to me, and I'm like, okay, how do I Jedi mind trick this cop to not put his hand in the glove? And I said something, and he turns around and he looks in the back of the car, and he goes, what's that? And there's 5 trays of pop brownies. And I said, they're brownies. Because what else could I say? That's what they were. And I said, we made them for our friends in California. And he turns around, puts the gloves down, turns to me and says, what a nice thing. Hands me back my license, says, get these kids to that show safely. And then we went.
All right, Johnny, lead it.
Hold on, I got one more story. One more story. All right, so we've heard a lot of really, really good stories here. But 5 years from now, you're going to be telling stories how you played percussion for Crazy Otto. Everybody here was with Crazy Otto playing percussion, and it's going to be a highlight of your lives. Right now, I'm telling you. Like, remember that night, Crazy Otto in Carbondale? Oh, fuck! I can't believe that.
Doc, what I had now. I said, now, doctor,
Doctor!
Oh, Mr. Randy,
Doctor!
said, can you tell me,
Doctor!
what's ailing me?
Doctor!
He said, yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
oh yeah. Really need is good loving. Good loving. Got to have loving. Give me good love. Said, come on, baby. Oh, squeeze me tight. Don't you want your daddy to be alright? I said, now, baby.
Baby!
Oh, it's for sure.
Baby!
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming tonight. Keep on the good loving. And we'll come back with the Veil is Thin on Halloween next year. Woo! Thank you and good night.
Best drums ever.
You rocked it.
Well done.